Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter. I appreciate you joining me today. I hope that you thoroughly enjoyed Adam Butler yesterday. What a great interview. What a great guy. I am certainly extremely appreciative of you, Adam. And AB's my guy. And I'm glad you guys kind of got to see the human side of him. Definitely a critical piece the Raiders need to re sign. They've got the cap space, they've got the room. They need to make it happen to keep him on the defensive line. You just saw with Philadelphia Eagles, you just don't have enough defensive pressure. You can't let good guys like him leave your facility. As you know, last week, I don't remember what day it was. I think it was Thursday, but last week I gave you a couple names in the NFL draft, not guys that are going to be first rounders or anything else, but a couple of guys to keep your eyes on that have intrigued some NFL people. And if you don't remember, we talked about Graham Mertz of Florida, and then we talked about Taylor Elgersma of Laurier out of Canada. And then we talked about some of the top tier quarterbacks in the draft. And I didn't give you my opinion because my opinion doesn't matter. But I've been doing this for many, many years and gave you the opinions of NFL people who have a proven track record picking quarterbacks. Um, and we talked about Jackson Dart. Gave you a lot of information about Jackson Dart because he's one that a lot of people really like. Um, we talked about Shadur Sanders and Cam Ward. Today, I want to talk to you about four more. And these are guys that are intriguing, guys that are absolutely have intrigued people. Now, I have shared this with you before. There is a man who I'm very close with that is a proven NFL quarterback evaluator and developer. Um, and he has told me, as I've told you, he's got number one on his board is Cam Ward. And then he's also got Jackson Dart with a first round grade, although it's a low first round grade. But he says he would not be shocked to see as many as six quarterbacks go in the first round just because so many teams are bad drafters and so many teams take risk at quarterback. Now, a lot of you are young and you don't remember this, but I'm in my mid 50s, and it used to be when you picked a quarterback early, you were married to them. I mean, it was massive amounts of numbers that you had to give them. You were just stuck. Um, I cannot believe just forgot his name, but there was a quarterback, Sam Bradford, out of Oklahoma, was really the last major deal like that. But because of how they slot now the picks, it's easier to take a risk, but still the good teams don't. The good teams don't take the risk. So I'm going to go over these four guys, give you the general consensus of what I'm hearing from multiple NFL people. There's some GMs in here, there's some other executives, there's scouts, and I'm going to give you all those. Now, these are all pre combine. So anything can change at the combine. In fact, um, probably a couple weeks after the combine, maybe mid March, maybe the 1st of April, somewhere in there, I'll give you the final list of how everybody rates the quarterbacks because a lot can change at the combine. We'll talk about that in a future podcast. But this is where they all are right now, kind of where they think guys are projected, that kind of stuff. So let's dig right into it. First guy I want to talk to you about is Quinn Ewers of Texas. Now, his pre combine, and these are, again, I'm only listening to guys who are extremely good drafters. I'm only listening to the people who I really trust, who've proven time and time again to give quality information and evaluation. A lot of guys have if you're, again, this is a guy, it would not shock me if somebody took a risk much earlier than the numbers I'm going to give you. But this is where they have them slotted in the real world. They've got yours as a fifth round guy. Okay. A couple of them even had him a little lower. A couple had him in the fourth. So we'll just say fifth. But this is kind of where they think his value is. But all of them expect him to go before that. let's talk about his positives. First of all, he's a shortstop type player. Now, it doesn't mean his form is bad, but under pressure, he can throw the ball sidearm. He can do some underhanded, meaning he's versatile. A shortstop passer doesn't mean he still has the good motion, but a shortstop passer means if he's got a behemoth 6'8" guy in front of him, he can throw sidearm. Another thing about him is that he's a pure passer, not as good as Shedeur Sanders, who many believe is the best pure passer in this draft, but he still is a pure passer. Um, but with his shortstop talent, he's extremely impressive. The next thing about him that's a real positive is he's probably the best RPO play action fake quarterback in the 2025 NFL draft. One guy said it is not uncommon to be watching his film and you're watching the ball go one way and he still has it. He just said he is so good at the RPO, he's so good at the play action, and so good at the fakes. Tremendous. And this guy's had watched a lot of film on him because they very well may take him if he's there in those later rounds where they think his value is. But he said, I've watched his tape, and he goes, I'm consistently, his words, consistently shocked at his ability to fake me out. So those are all really good things about Quinn. Here are his weaknesses. Okay. Struggles past history with his first read when properly seeing the field. Meaning once he gets past his first read, he's got some issues seeing the field. Okay, so plays design, it's a 9 route to your you know your 1. Boom, you go there, it's not available. Now you got to turn. Maybe you got pressure, you can't wait, whatever it may be. And now you got to go. He struggles there. He struggles with his, after his first read's taken, properly seeing the field. Now, another one is uh, when his first read is taken and not available, that read is questionable. You know, when teams take away what he wants them to do. And in the NFL, you know, listen, Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. So it's not fair to judge anybody by Tom Brady. But even a Josh Allen, a Joe Burrow, a Patrick Mahomes, the good quarterbacks are able to look and see, okay, you're taking away my number one, no big deal. I had a scout say to me, Tom Brady was the best of all time of looking at a defense and knowing the ball's going to end up at this guy. He's my third read, and it's going to end up with him. And he said, bam, he would just go right to the third guy and it would work every time, or the fourth. This is where Quinn gets into trouble. This is where Quinn gets into trouble. He struggles with ball security, meaning people can knock the ball out of his hands. I thought that was very, very fascinating. Another one is he does not respond well to the pass rush under pressure. He is very weak, meaning once you get pressure on him, he doesn't ad lib well. Remember, that kind of ties into going to the first read. That I had one scout say to me that when this particular team, not going to tell you which one, but this particular team, when they're judging quarterbacks, they like their defensive coaches to watch the film as well. And he said to me, our defensive coaches said we would be blitzing someone on every down and feel very confident we could shut him down rather easily. Interesting evaluations there. Now, a lot of people think he's going to go a lot earlier than that 5th round grade. And he may develop into a good quarterback. Remember, the issue is not can a guy develop? The issue is the bad teams consistently make bad picks. So let's say you make 2 out of every 10 picks. Let's say you make 10 bad picks and 2 of them pan out. And you're over here, woo, look at us, 2 great picks when everyone says they weren't worthy of that pick. Okay, but the good teams make 8 good picks and 2 bad. Guys that should be picked where they were that don't pan out. And that's why bad teams are bad teams. I hope Quinn, everybody brags about his character. I hope he goes on and has a great career and really develops into somebody great. But you don't pick him number 1 if you're a team that consistently wins. You say, oh, yeah, but he's going to become the greatest. Okay. And if he does, wonderful. But even Tom Brady, who is the greatest, got picked based upon his performance up to that time. Just a note there on Quinn Ewers. Another one I want to talk about is Dillon Gabriel. This guy intrigues me. Now, it doesn't matter what I think, so I don't give you my opinions. But let me tell you about this kid. One scout said 100% a Bill Parcells type player with a ton of offensive experience. Remember, Bill Parcells used to talk about how much experience he wants from a guy. He wants him to get all that out in college. This is Dillon Gabriel, Mr. Experience. He has NFL throws with the zip. He's an NFL ready quarterback. Nice arm that can deliver the ball deep. Knows when to throw the ball and when to run. Great threat with his feet, but doesn't rely on it. That is a big one right there. You see a lot of guys that rely on their feet, and then will go to their feet too quick. He'll stay in the pocket. Kid's tough as nails, but he knows when to run. These are all great things about him. Considering his position, he has very impressive speed for a quarterback. Here's another one. Great vision and throws people open. This is a very big deal. The ability to see, okay, the route's supposed to go here. I'm going to throw that guy. I'm going to release the ball before it's open. Now, here's why that's important. A lot of guys that back up and they want that security. I want to see the guy open before I throw it. The best quarterbacks throw it before they're open and trust the guy to get open. Listen, there were times this year where there was a lot of meat left on the bone with Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, because guys had to wait for him to get open. How many times did you see Trey Tucker have to stop in mid-route this year waiting for the ball to get here with Gardner and with Desmond and with Aiden? You're not going to worry about that with Dillon. Bam, Trey Tucker's going. I can see it. I'm going to throw the ball before he's open so he catches it in stride. The ability to throw a guy open. Next one. Fast release once the decision is made. Not Dan Marino, but nobody's ever been Dan Marino, but he's very good. So once he makes a decision, bam, his release is quick. Now, that should have given you a little bit of insight into a weakness, which is sometimes making the decision. We'll get to that in a minute. He thinks on his feet with great decision making. What's that mean? If the play breaks down and he has to improvise, he's fast on his feet. You're not worried about him. You're worried with Quinn Ewers. There's no worry with Dillon Gabriel. You know he's going to make the right decision with the football. You may say, wow, this guy sounds like the number 1 overall. What could be his weakness? All right, let's talk about it. Age. He's 25 years old. He's 25 years old. You're getting an older guy. Next, and this is the big one, his size. He's listed at 6 foot 195. No one I spoke to thinks he's 6 foot or 195. So there's a lot of concern there, a ton of concern. Does he have the size, because he is a runner, to play in this league? Now look at Jaden Daniels. There's a lot of concerns there too. But that's going to be a big thing at the combine. What is his size? And then the other thing at the combine is he's had one major injury. Now we know Michael Penix had multiples, but he's had one major injury. So is it a fluke or is he an injury prone guy who's just really tough? They're going to do a lot of digging on that. He's not a shortstop thrower with his versatility. So let me explain. He's great. He's got his motion that isn't great, but he doesn't have the ability to move the clock handle. Doesn't have that. And you want more of that shortstop ability when you're a guy who moves. So that hurts him a little bit. And his throwing motion has to get improved. So there you go. Some big stuff there on Dillon Gabriel. The next I want to talk about is Will Howard of Ohio State. Now, a lot of people have him as a pre-combine 5th-round guy. In a minute, you're going to understand why. A lot of people think, I had a lot of guys tell me, we got a 5th-round grade on him, but would probably take him in the 3rd or 4th. Several people think he's going to go before the 3rd and 4th. But a couple of the people that have a 5th grade round pre-draft, pre-combine grade on him think he could end up growing into a 3rd or 4th, depending on what happens at the combine and his pro day. But they think he's going to go higher. But let's talk about why with Will Howard. Strengths. Looks like an NFL quarterback, has an NFL quarterback arm, throws, he's accurate in small windows, can have great accuracy and judgment. Remember what he said, can have great accuracy. He looks the part, plays the part. Next, he's a winner when it counts. One scout said to me, when things are at their worst, Will Howard's at his best. He's a winner. Okay, next, under Chip, he has developed as an impressive with release and motion. You're going to hear a lot of praise here with Chip. Here's another one. Tremendous ability to throw on the move. Here's another one. Good vision, is a threat running, but his growth under Kelly makes him a guy that you can see becoming a starter. That is why he'll go sooner than is where he's projected, and he owes all of it to Chip. Now, there are several people that said to me, it's hard because he's got a lot of film pre-trip, and then he's got a year with Chip. And you can't discount the growth with Chip. But you also can't throw away all of the pre-Chip and the talent he was surrounded with. So let's look at some of his weaknesses. Struggles getting through his reads. He struggles a little bit with that. Now, but did improve under Chip, meaning before Chip, struggled. But he got coaching and showed better. His issue was that with all the talent at OSU, he didn't need to be able to make multiple reads. So are the concerns real at the next level? See, this is the intrigue that goes into these guys. Chip Kelly may tell the Raiders, hey, I'm not remotely concerned. He was great at OSU under my teaching. He'll be good. Or Chip Kelly may say, listen, we weren't playing the Ravens and we weren't playing the Chiefs and whomever or a Jim Harbaugh defense every week at OSU. Yeah, he improved it, but he had a lot of talent around him. We don't know what Chip's going to say, other than the people I talked with at Ohio State said they were very close and will almost worship the ground that Chip walked on. He trusts his athleticism and arm. Thus, he throws occasionally on his back foot way too much, meaning he knows he's got the arm, he knows he has the ability to run. So and because he has all of that, there'll be times he throws off that back foot. You get away with that at Ohio State when you're playing, University of Ohio from Miami. early in the year, or you're playing in Illinois, or you're playing in Northwestern. You don't get away on that with the NFL. You just don't get away with it. Improved at Ohio State, but still a legitimate concern. Now let's the biggest thing that I got on Will Howard is a lot of people like him, but you have to take into account how much of his improvement was chip, how much of his improvement was the talent all around him at Ohio State, and where is he? I had one general manager tell me, if I'm Chip Kelly, I'd have no problems taking, if I was, the general manager of the Raiders, I'd have no problems taking Will Howard with Chip Kelly there. If Chip Kelly told me in the third round, yeah, no worries. He said, but not having Chip Kelly as my OC, I would be concerned taking him there. Really good point there. And I thought you'd appreciate that on Will Howard. All right, I'm going to talk about one other guy, Jaylen Milroe at Alabama. A lot of people said they've got a second round grade on him. But almost all of them, I always put, where do you have him graded now before the combine? And then where do you project he'll go? A lot of people think he's going in the first round. Just because there's so many bad drafting teams. Okay? Here's what one guy said. I love Jaylen Milroe, but would not touch him in the first round. There's a reason we consistently pick in the second half of the draft. It's because we don't take first round picks. This is a kid in the second round that makes you look like a hero, but in the first round has the potential to get you fired. Strengths on Milroe. Electric player who has a big arm and impressive physical, dual threat skills, and speed. Exceptional field vision. Sees the entire field. Multiple guys use the term eyes on the back of his head. He just sees the field. He has a feel for the game. He is strong. There is no concerns about his size or his style, meaning, if he takes off running the football, you're not worried about, how's he going to react when he gets crushed by a Max Crosby or a Myles Garrett, which you're worried about that every time, Jaden Daniels runs. His arm, he has arm, and can make every throw accurately. Every throw, but he's not always accurate. He can make every throw accurately, but he's not always accurate. He's going to have to improve on that. Now, a lot of people seem to think that was indicative of playing in the system he played in Alabama, where they don't throw as much as other teams. They think he'll grow into it. Here are his weaknesses. Accuracy flashes, and inaccuracy flashes need to be consistent. Next, must improve footwork and throwing motion. He's such a good thrower, and he's such a good athletic player that he needs to improve on his throwing motion and his consistency, meaning using the same motion all the time. He must improve his footwork. I already said that one. Often offers concerns with ball security. Now, stay with me for a minute. Stay with me for 1 second. Concerns with ball security and has not demonstrated the ability to go through every read. So he's big and he's strong. But the problem is, it's one thing to be big and strong in college. It's another in the NFL. I'm going to share this story with you. TJ Duckett, many of you remember, was a first-round draft pick, ran a 4.3 running back at 245 pounds, went to Atlanta. I remember him and I were eating lunch one day, and I asked him, what was the biggest adjustment for you when you got to the NFL? And he said, in my entire career, I have never been caught from behind. In my first day in pads at Atlanta, I get caught from behind. I'm like, wow, who tackled me? And I get up and look, and it's a defensive tackle. They're all fast. So Milroe Although he's strong and big and all of that, there's concern with ball security. Maybe trusting that big arm too much. That's a good one. Or running the football and not protecting it because he wants to hold it out here. He wants to throw. That's a big one. Um, uh, Next one. On quick change plays, he has to be able to improve his expectations. Can throw open when it's part of the read, but on change of action, he struggles. Let me explain. Okay. It's 2nd down and 4. So you got it's a 3-step drop. Bam. 1, 2, you get to 2, and an offensive lineman makes a mistake. And now you can't get the throw to who you want to. You got to run, and it's a change of expectation play, meaning you're not going to be able to run the play. The defense is, remember, these guys are pros too. So you got to move. So he has to move. And when he does, he struggles there. He struggles there on change of action plays to be able to improvise. Now, he didn't have to do this a lot at Alabama. So he's a great kid, by the way. Nobody has issues with can he do it. It's just right now he can't do it. But everyone expects him. He's teachable. He's a great kid. But that's just a concern. Here's another one. He's too tough for his own good. So let me explain here. He doesn't like to take off and run. He likes to, he has that balance. How many times you heard me talk about you just don't want a guy to trust his feet too much. He trusts him when he takes off, but he will stay in the pocket, stay in the pocket, stay in the because he's tough. Yeah, you're going to hit me, I'll bounce off. And the problem is sometimes he's too tough for his own good. So, man, he gets smashed by somebody doesn't expect it. The ball comes out. Sometimes he just has to learn to throw the ball away and live for another day or check down. Quit looking for the big play. That's pretty fair criticism. Here's another one. His ball security from taking those big hits, which I've already alluded on. So there are 4 more guys I wanted to give you information on. And I think I told you this, but let me go back and look. People think he's a day 2 guy, 2nd or 3rd rounder, but they think he's going to end up going in the 1st. But they think he's a 2nd or 3rd round guy. Jaylen Milroe. Pretty interesting guy right there. Pretty interesting guy right there for sure. Brings up a fascinating draft, doesn't it? So we've previewed 7 guys for you, actually, and then 2 that are lower expectation guys, trying to bring you the best information as we can. The draft's in a week. Oh my gosh, the draft's in a week. I'll be in Indy for the draft. We'll have podcasts every night from the draft. Plus, we're going to have tons of interviews for you. Absolutely tons of interviews for you from the draft. So make sure you keep it all up to date, paying attention to it. Appreciate all of you. Again, hope you enjoyed the Adam Butler interview. If you didn't, you have to go watch it. Just got to go watch it. It's fantastic. And not because of me, it was because of him. As always, we're appreciative of you. We're thankful for you. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.